The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
The shitty show that should have ended like Kel's career.
Kel's career continues to endure, apparently.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. I'm JD, and that's Kyle.
Yo.
Yep. And we're here talking about the 20th anniversary episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob's birthday, whatever. I don't know, like, I haven't watched SpongeBob probably since the first movie came out, and I saw the second movie in theaters, but I had not watched anything prior to that or since, so coming in and watching what is now modern day SpongeBob is very interesting, because what I considered SpongeBob and what SpongeBob has become are two different, very, very different things.
I've seen handfuls of episodes. Whenever people are like, hey, check out how awful this is, I'll watch it and be like, wow, they weren't kidding. Like, remember when Bismarcky was a fucking cat?
I don't.
Oof. I don't know if it was Bismarcky or not, but someone was a cat. I think it was Bismarcky.
Maybe. Yeah, so they just aired this hour-long episode of SpongeBob over I think it was back on Friday, to celebrate SpongeBob's 20th anniversary, which I know I'm only 28, but the phrase "God damn it, I feel old" seems like it applies here. Because Kyle, do you remember when SpongeBob aired for the first time? Like, I remember watching the premiere episode of SpongeBob back in '99.
I want to say it was like a Super Bowl Sunday, wasn't it? Or something like that. I remember seeing the first episode on air.
Yeah, because I remember Nickelodeon was making a big deal about it. Like, it was the next big Nicktoon, and how right they were, I guess.
Well, that's one thing Dustin was saying, is that it was gonna be Sniz and Fondue, but they passed on it for SpongeBob. So could you imagine living in that world?
I mean, if that was a thing, I think I doubt Sniz and Fondue would have endured this long.
No, but I did like Sniz and Fondue a little bit better.
I mean, I don't know. I still maintain that, like, early SpongeBob is still funny. Like, I've rewatched like older episodes, and I think it still holds up. I can't say that so much for modern day SpongeBob, and especially what we just watched. So basically, this hour-long episode is like in two halves, in the sense that, like, one half of the episode is SpongeBob and Patrick going on a tour of Surface Land, which is just like a series of gags that have nothing to do with each other.
A series of non-jokes.
Pretty much. And the other half is all of the other SpongeBob characters, like all the like major side characters, are planning a surprise party, and it doesn't go as well as they'd like it to be. Nothing goes according to plan because no one can decide on anything, and everything just falls to pieces.
This is like when they wrote this. All they wrote was, "and hilarity ensues for everything."
I firmly believe, like, what we were saying while we were watching this episode. I think they had like an 11-minute episode worth of material, and they're like, shit, we gotta fill 45 minutes.
It just feels like they wrote it around the live action sketch. Like, that's the only reason why this was made.
Like, I don't even think it was that much. It's like, they're like, oh, okay, we want to have SpongeBob go on a tour, and it would be live action. And there's going to be a surprise party because it's a birthday themed episode. So I think that's literally as far as they got. I don't know. So
it's just like, and I feel like Chowder did it better in a sense.
That car wash scene is still pretty iconic. So I guess we can talk about we can talk about this episode in the two halves. Well, I guess we can just get the animated part of the episode out of the way first, just because it's easier. So yeah, it's Sandy, Squidward, Mrs. Puff, Mr. Krabs, Plankton. I guess there's this whole problem I had with this episode where since I haven't watched modern SpongeBob in a while, there's a lot of characters they either brought back or there's the newer characters that like have a somewhat significant role in this episode, and I don't know who they are or why they're back. Like Bubble Bass is in this, and I literally only know him from the first time he showed up. So I don't know if like they brought him back in the last couple of years, and I guess they turned him into a giant nerd. Because he's like obsessed with Mermaid Man and like wizard shit.
So it's exactly what I fucking said. Peter Lorre Fish, named Slappy, only appeared in this episode.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's like this random character, and he looks and sounds like Peter Lorre, because that's a reference kids today are gonna get. Hell, half the adults that I'm around wouldn't get that joke. That's literally like an old person's joke at this point. That's like early Looney Tunes reference. Whatever. But yeah, he shows up, he's weird for no reason, and I don't know why they make it a point to feature him a few times.
This is a person that was born in 1904. And his career
was like prominent in the 30s.
And his career was in the 20s and 30s. And he died in the 60s. So there's not many people who fucking know who he is, other than people that, I guess, parody him.
That's the thing, like, no one knows, most people don't know who Peter Lorre is outside of, like, Looney Tunes or, like, other cartoons making a reference to him. Or horror movie buffs. I get, yeah, that. I mean, I know who he is because I've watched Casablanca a few times, but that's, I mean, what, I don't understand what 8-year-old is going to understand that joke. It's like, oh, this weird, creepy character. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't even know their parents that are probably my age or a little older are going to understand that joke, but, you know, whatever, I guess. Fuck, where were we? Where were we going with this?
You were talking about, like, Bubble Bass, and I brought that up.
So, yeah, and then Bubble Bass is there, and Plankton's there for... I don't get why Plankton is there helping set up for SpongeBob's party. It's kind of strange.
Because they're like, oh, SpongeBob has a lot of interesting friends, and it's just like, these are people that appeared in the series, not even, like, friends.
Yeah, they're not, like, friends, they're just, like... A lot of this episode just feels like, remember this, and I'm like, yes, I do remember that. It's like, I don't know the 8-year-olds watching this who weren't born when SpongeBob started are going to remember this, but...
It's like seeing the Simpsons poster where there's like a million fucking characters on it.
Oh, did you not see the poster they made for this?
Well, yeah. It's the
same fucking poster. It's the millions of characters that have been in SpongeBob. So it's the same kind of same kind of thing. So yeah, you like throughout this whole party setup, people start showing up, and it's literally just all these like background and side characters that have showed up all the time. Like you see the mermaid girl from the first SpongeBob movie. Like they try to make the my leg joke, which if I remember, they made a big deal about making an episode about that like a couple of years ago. Just around that guy.
Well, they gave they gave a running joke an actual character because they're like, "Hey, Fred." So it's Fred the fish.
He has a name.
And it's
the
just
My
like,
Leg guy.
Yeah, and that's just some like random background character that they decided to actually make a character.
And it was weird because like there was like some like deep cut characters in the background of this that like me watching SpongeBob when it first came out when I was a little kid, I know what those are. Like they had like this weird eel guy that was from the episode where with the ice cream where Plankton took over SpongeBob's head in like the first season.
I saw a couple people from the
Rock Bottom.
Yeah, there you go, from Rock Bottom.
Yeah, there's a few Rock Bottom characters in there.
The Strangler was there.
Yeah, this fucking Strangler guy was there. So yeah, there's a lot of like references to older episodes with like these characters in the background, but they're only there for like a cheap joke or just to like wink at the camera, like, remember this?
Yeah. Remember when we were good? It's just, that's the problem. And I know anyone would fucking agree, is just, they boiled down the SpongeBob characters to like their most essence, and that's what makes it awful.
I mean, I feel like you can say about like, I mean, you say the same thing about like Family Guy and The Simpsons. It's just, it's been on so long that it's like, what do you do with these characters anymore? And they're so, like, watching this and seeing SpongeBob and Patrick interact, it is so bizarre because it's nothing like how I remember them interacting with each other. Like, I remember, like, Patrick devolving into being more of an idiot, but there's literally a scene in the beginning of this episode where he's a literal drooling idiot.
I would say multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, half the shit that happens in the live action segments is caused by Patrick being dumb.
Yeah.
Like, SpongeBob almost takes a back seat in this entire episode. Like, he's, like, almost doesn't matter that he's there.
Sadly, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, so that's, we'll get back to the party, the surprise party bit later. But yeah, so, while everyone else is setting up SpongeBob's surprise party, Patrick and SpongeBob go on a sightseeing tour to Surface Land, where they drive around in a fish tank, like on a tour bus, and they just go from one gag to another on land, and it's all live action with people and stuff.
It's just, they have this really dumb fucking segment where it's like a spring break thing.
Yeah.
And Kel Mitchell's there, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I remember Kel Mitchell. That's all it is.
See, I know that kids watching this know who Kel is, only because he was on some one of Nickelodeon's millions of live action sitcoms this last couple of years, and obviously he and a bunch of other old All That cast members are coming back for the new version. So I know people are going to know, I know the kids watching this are going to know who Kel is, but still, it's kind of sad to see, like, you know, Keenan and Kel was a big thing back in the day, and like Good Burger and all that, and it's really kind of sad to see like how well Keenan's career took off, like when he got on SNL and all that, and how like Kel's career it's just kind of like settled.
He's also a voice actor too.
That's true, yeah. Like Kel's still consistently working. It's just that like I feel like Keenan really like stepped up, and like people, like mainstream people, know who he is now, because like he's on SNL and doing other stuff. Like I think he and Jeff Foxworthy and someone else are like hosting some like
John Cena
stand-ups. Well, no, it's like him. It's like Keenan, Jeff Foxworthy, and some other person are hosting, like, it's one of those like American Idol, whatever, but it's for like stand-up comedy. I keep seeing commercials for it.
Oh, weird. I saw a billboard for Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader with John Cena, and I was like, huh.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah,
a
John
thing.
Cena's taking over that. I think that's on Nickelodeon, too.
Yeah, it is.
That's so weird.
We passed by Paramount yesterday.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So yeah, it's the live action segment is like one gag after another. So yeah, you got the live action. It's like a spring break thing where it'd be hosted by like a beer company or whatever. It's hosted by like a baked beans company.
Yeah.
So poor Kel Mitchell is dressed up in a baked beans can outfit and has to dance around like an idiot.
I feel like
and it's
someone who works at Nickelodeon has like a gross fetish where they have. I don't know what the technical term for it is, but it's like a slop fetish or something.
I mean, I think that's just Nickelodeon's aesthetic. Is like they've always been like slime has always been their aesthetic. So I think this entire segment is like Kel doing like a trivia segment or whatever, and he whether you're right or wrong, he shoots you with a cannon full of beans. It's fucking stupid. But yeah, so but that leads into Patrick wanting beans because he's an idiot. The fish tank gets full of beans, eats all the beans, but that means he ate all the water, so all the people are gonna die. So they gotta go fill the fish tank tour bus back up with water, except they go to a beach shower, which these are saltwater fish, so
yeah, instead of just fill the tank back up with fresh into water. The ocean.
Which is like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
They wait in line for a beach shower to fill it back up.
Because it's funny to see their faces change even worse and worse.
See, okay, so I haven't really talked about this openly, but like years ago, I mean, I'm talking like 3 or 4 years ago, I did a board test for SpongeBob. Obviously, I did not get the job. But one of the critiques I got back was I wasn't able to really draw on model. And watching this, it's just like, it doesn't seem like they're like making excuses to go off model now just because they want to draw weird faces.
Yeah. Every single shot is a different dumb face.
Yeah, it's just like they're making up scenarios just so they can draw doofy faces.
Where it's to the point where that's the joke, is they have a dumb face.
Yeah. I mean, there's a running joke where like Plankton's eyeball keeps popping out of his head.
It happened like 4 times, and it's like, how funny is that, you guys?
Yeah, and then the whole like part where all the water's coming out of the tank, they're all dehydrated and stuff because that running joke. It was just an excuse for them to draw weird faces for the characters. So they get the tank filled back with water, and that leads into the next gag, which actually becomes the running gag of the live action segment. Is they run into this poodle, who starts drinking their water.
They run into
this poodle number of times in really random locations. So.
They run into the director's poodle multiple times.
It's probably someone's dog. Right. But I mean, I guess the one part of this that I did kind of enjoy, and obviously they promoted the hell out of this part, is where they got all the voice actors to dress up and act as like human counterparts to all their SpongeBob characters. So they make like a Krusty Krab real world equivalent, and like Sandy and Squidward and all those characters are there, but they're all played by their voice actors. So that was fun and like a fun little nod. And I've seen a few behind the scenes videos of them doing stuff and like reenacting old scenes with the actors in their counterpart outfits, and that's been kind of funny. But I mean, I think you're kind of right, Kyle, is like, I think they wrote around, like, this scene, like, oh, wouldn't this be funny? And then they wrote an entire episode around it.
That's what it feels like. I mean, I'd hate to be cynical, but Jesus, not giving me much of a choice.
I don't think it's cynical. I think it's kind of borderline accurate. Because, I mean, it's silly. Like, it's funny to see Tom Kenny being a human version of SpongeBob, basically. And you get to see Bill Fagerbach be a big idiot just as Patrick and whatever. Sandy's voice actor's in an astronaut costume because, Sandy's in a spacesuit, so why wouldn't her human version be? It did bug me, and when I said this while we were watching it, Squidward's voice actor, they flipped his colors and it bugged me.
He's wearing a blue shirt and brown pants.
And it's like, he can still wear blue pants and a brown shirt. That'd be a little more accurate, but I don't know. It's dumb. And then you got Clancy Brown being Mr. Slabs. Everything is just like a weird whatever version of it. So,
and then they had Plankton, and he had one eyeball because
Plankton only has one eye. He has like an eye patch or whatever. And then they throw him out into the garbage, and the Krusty Krab pizza is back there. Because remember that, guys?
Remember this from the first fucking season?
Right? That's like the second or third episode.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. Then they get thrown into they come across a fish store, and Pearl's voice actor picks up their tank and puts them in a fish store.
Yeah. And then
I'll be honest, I blanked out for a few minutes because I don't remember how they got out of the store.
Oh, they just pushed it off the shelf and then drove out.
Okay, yeah. So they're like in the fish store, and they see all these like tropical fish, and the fish are like CGI, like
terrible,
realistic looking.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird because it's like, why aren't these fish cartoons? They're CGI fish.
It was so fucking jarring. It was really bad.
It's so weird. And so they eventually make it back to the beach, and they're gonna go back down to Bikini Bottom, and fucking David Hasselhoff is the lifeguard from the first movie is back, and he's gonna go. He got SpongeBob and them ran over his foot, so he's gonna go live in a volcano.
Yeah.
Believe me, if me recounting this doesn't make any sense, believe me, it doesn't make any more sense when you're actually watching it. So, and then, so they, and I guess, they're taken up and down from the surface on a submarine driven by, like, a French guy in a diving outfit, who they call Frenchie, and they say he's Sandy's friends.
But it's the narrator. That's who it was.
So it's like, that's another thing. It's like, did they introduce this diving guy in the last couple of seasons, and it's just something I didn't see, so I don't get this reference, or I don't get who this character is supposed to be, or why they know this character? Or is it like the Peter Lorre fish, where they just added him in, and they just act like everybody else. He's been here the whole time.
But he was in the movie. He was the Cyclops.
Yeah, but did they name him? Because they said it's like, oh, it's Sandy's friend Frenchie.
Yeah, I didn't.
So it's like, was an episode recently where they established that? Or
you got me, man.
I don't know, but so SpongeBob and Patrick finally get back to the house, and everyone's like, the house is destroyed because people are dumb and everyone's tired. Too tired for the surprise party. And I told Kyle, it's like, this is pretty much a good metaphor for what SpongeBob has become. It's all this lead up to a big wet fart.
Yeah.
It's such a nothing ending. They get there, and SpongeBob is like, oh my god, you guys threw me this party, but like everyone's just on the floor, like passed out. And then fucking like Patchy the Pirate's head shows up in a box.
He was,
and they all sing the SpongeBob theme song.
Yeah, that was really fucking stupid.
It just ends.
He was in the episode where Mrs. Puff steals SpongeBob's car.
Who was?
Frenchie.
Was he?
Yeah, because they run him over, and it's just like a pair of feet. Like, this camera, it's just the narrator. That's all it is.
I mean, like, okay. Alright, I guess. But yeah, so, because, and that's the other thing. Patchy the Pirate shows up periodically because you can't have a live-action SpongeBob episode and not have Patchy the Pirate. I was disappointed that Patchy the Pirate doesn't talk to Jim Bob the Fry Cook, SpongeBob's live-action counterpart. I'm sad that Tom Kenny never talked to Tom Kenny.
But you get Patchy and SpongeBob, and that's Tom Kenny.
It's true. Patchy and SpongeBob finally meet, even though it's like there's no explanation given. This giant package just falls from the sky and it opens, and it's just Patchy's head in a box.
Yeah.
And then they go back up to the little island from the theme song, and it's just like Patchy's body, but his parrot's head is on him. So it's like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And then they just sing like a happy birthday variant of the theme song, and then it just ends with all these celebrities saying happy birthday SpongeBob, and some of them were in the episode, some of them weren't. Half of them I didn't know who they were because they're probably some Nickelodeon star or some celebrity I don't keep up with.
That's not how it ends.
That's how it ends.
Patrick goes, "Hey SpongeBob, how old are you?" And he goes, and then it cuts out because
cuts the static.
Funny.
And then he does the nose whistle.
Yeah.
And then it says, "Thank you, Steven Hillenberg."
And then I was like, "Oh man, I'm so glad I'm 40 minutes closer to my own death."
Man, I just this watching this episode, I get is like a big monument because like, SpongeBob has been on the air for 20 years. That is an accomplishment. But this episode reaffirms why I don't watch SpongeBob anymore, because it is so far removed from what it was when it was good. And I'm not like trying to be one of those people who are like, well, it was better back in my day. I think like objectively, SpongeBob was funnier, it was smarter back in its first couple of seasons. And I feel like you can say that about any show, because like we said, Simpsons and Family Guy are nothing like when they started or like when they were in their heyday. Like, they've devolved too. And I think that says something about letting these shows just go indefinitely. It's just like, at some point you plateau at quality and you just stay at this low bar.
It's only downhill from here, baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I'm sure if I went and watched more like modern SpongeBob, I almost feel like it's not going to be any worse or better than what I just watched. It's going to be that same level of like, Patrick's a drooling moron. SpongeBob is just like giddy, annoying, and like really forgiving of Patrick's idiocies that gets him into trouble. So
see, it's like my thing is, I stopped watching SpongeBob because they kept fucking retelling the same goddamn story, almost seasons of it, where it's like Plankton tries to steal the Krabby Patty formula again, and it just became a thing where it was like you have two segments an episode, and each one was about that, and it just gets so fucking boring, and they kept doing that. So I just stopped watching because of that, because it's just, there's nothing, you're treading same water, and it's not interesting to me at all, and that's it. Meanwhile, when you have the earlier seasons, you have maybe going to a new town, and then something simple like that. Oh, SpongeBob forgot to tie his shoes, so here's an episode about that. It was very interesting. Hooks. Yeah, just different stuff like this, but then that's all that they would do, is just, it's Plankton and Mr. Krabs.
Yeah. So I would say, as something that's supposed to be a tribute to SpongeBob, like a big congratulations for making 20 years on the air, I feel like this episode's like a big nothing. It like I went in feeling nothing. I left feeling nothing. Like, I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm not happy. I'm just like, that was a thing I watched for 45 minutes.
I expected nothing, and I'm still let down. No, it's just... I mean, when has one of those fucking event ones been any good? They got David...
It's true.
They get David fucking Bowie to do a voice, and he didn't even sing in it. I'm pretty sure they had to pay like a shitload of money to get the guy to sing, but they couldn't fucking do that.
Yeah. But, yeah, this episode is... It's basically an excuse to make a bunch of in-jokes to stuff that kids that are actually still watching SpongeBob to this day aren't even going to understand. It's stuff that happened before they were even born, which really kind of baffles me still. My brain can grapple with SpongeBob being on the air for 20 years, but it still can't wrap its head around that there are kids who were born before SpongeBob aired. Like, there are little kids who watch SpongeBob now that got into it 10 seasons in.
Yeah, but see, with reruns, they know the old episodes for one, and for
that's the thing,
two... We'll go on.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, it's like, there's so much SpongeBob, like, how much of the old stuff do they still rerun on television, or do they mostly just play, like, the newer stuff?
I mean, that's one of the only shows that they fucking play anymore on Nickelodeon, I'm sure. It makes
it's like the Teen
rounds.
Titans. It's like how Teen Titans Go is for Cartoon Network right now.
Yeah, but I was gonna say that you got that, and then you got the kids with their memes and stuff. So they know SpongeBob, and they know exactly who he is and whatever. Those old episodes.
I'm sure SpongeBob the show jumped the shark years ago, but I think SpongeBob merchandise jumped the shark when they became self-aware about the meme culture and started making figures based off the meme jokes.
Yep.
Like, they made the caveman SpongeBob, or like the weird like bird mouth SpongeBob, and they made the gasping face Patrick figure. They made Handsome Squidward, which I think I remember hearing that they brought Handsome Squidward back.
Of course they would.
Why? It's just like every time I see something about SpongeBob, it's always about them like dragging an old joke back out, because it's like, this was funny the first time, let's drag it back out for another time, and I don't know.
We're bringing it back.
I know it's never gonna die. Like, it's gonna be on until the world succumbs to the heat death. But SpongeBob needed to end years ago, but it makes way too much money. And watching it now, it's like, the quality is so deteriorated from what I remember that, like, I remember why I don't watch this anymore.
And it's kind of sad, because, I mean, we've got a friend who works on a not very highly regarded show either. But the people who work on the shows, they fucking love it, and they think it's the funniest fucking thing ever. And it's just so weird.
And I wonder if it's just a thing, like, being in the writer's room, or, you know, being a board artist or whatever. It's just, maybe something seems funny in the moment, but once you get the finished product out, when you get like the full episode out, I just wonder what I honestly wonder what the people working on the show watching this honestly think, not like what they're gonna say in the YouTube videos that Nickelodeon puts up. I don't know, because I can't imagine any... This is gonna come off sound like a real dick thing to say. I can't imagine any self-respecting artist working on this show doing this.
Yikes.
And being like, yes, this is the best we can make it. And I'm like, guys, I can show you a dozen episodes of SpongeBob that are smart, it's funny, it's clever, it's very well done. Like, first 3-4 seasons of SpongeBob still can get me rolling, because it's so funny and like clever with his jokes. And this was just, it was one gag after another.
Did you even smile once?
I maybe laughed a little bit during the live action Krusty Krabs segment, just because it's like, oh, that's funny, even though I've seen this entire scene on YouTube a week ago.
Yeah.
Which, way to go, Nickelodeon. You wanted to show the focal point of your episode, something people would have wanted to tune in
for free
to actually see this episode for, and you showed the entire scene on YouTube a week before the episode aired.
Yep. Man, this is gonna get us blacklisted.
Oh, whatever, man. Look, it's not like how Fairly Odd Parents devolved into puppet animation. It's still fully animated. It's still well done. I can give it credit for doing all these weird faces, because I'm sure it's fun to draw all those goofy faces. So I know there's a lot of work that goes into making this still. So on that level, I can't be too hard on, the people making this. And I'm sure a lot of it comes down from corporate, or come down from the higher ups, are like, to boil this down to the bare minimum. But I mean, and you could also just boil it down to SpongeBob just isn't for us anymore. It is moved on to the next generation. This is what SpongeBob has become, and that is what it is to them. And maybe just sensibilities of what makes a good cartoon is changed. I mean, there's a lot of modern cartoons I don't like, because whatever constitutes as modern writing for cartoons just doesn't appeal to me anymore. Basically, what you should get out of this is I'm an old fart, and I'm going to be yelling at kids to get off my lawn.
There you go.
That's the takeaway from all of this, so...
There's your hot take, you guys.
Yeah, so I guess happy 20th birthday, SpongeBob. Good job making 20 years. You're not what you used to be, but congratulations all the same, I suppose.
There you go.
Alright, guys, well, there you go. I want to hear from anyone who actually enjoyed this or enjoys modern SpongeBob, and I want you to tell me why. Just tell me what is good about SpongeBob. Like, what's still good about it? I need to know.
I clapped at all the references.
I remember that. It's like the member berries. Member? I remember.
Yeah, and even that was a big wet fart.
Yeah, that went nowhere. Oh well. So yeah, thanks all for listening to this, and we'll be back again next week, hopefully with something a little more cheerier. So,
the Lion King
guys,
remake.
What?
The Lion King remake.
Oh boy, don't get me started on that. Alright guys, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. Join our Discord to chat with us, and subscribe to our Patreon for some cool bonuses. Links are in the description. We'll see you next time.